a week away from the NBA draft. Can you feel it, Joe? Can you feel the buzz? The NBA draft. This is low-key like really big for the Warriors, and we're going to start getting pumped up for it.
You mean like high-key?
No, it feels low-key right now because we just have the NBA Finals. We have the World Cup happening. The NBA draft just doesn't hit the same as the NFL draft. It just doesn't. Like, the NFL draft blows everything else out of the water, so any other draft feels second tier, if you will. But this season... And this upcoming pick, whether they keep it or not, keep the player or not, we'll see. I think they do.
Do what?
Keep the player. They they flirted with trading in, whatever. I just don't see that happening.
I wonder if they're going to trade, back in or move up or I don't know. Like, you want to get into one of these guys that I would love to have?
I would like to do that, and we're doing some deep dives on him. And this guy, I feel like, has been the most linked to the Golden State Warriors, whether that's because of the age. Well, that's because people think he's going to fall. I have no idea. The more I watched this guy, the more I just became infatuated with. There's some concerns, but I think those are concerns that he can fix in the NBA. His name is Yaxel Lendeborg, all right? And he is a guy that we've talked about on this station, I think, a bunch. Steiny and Guru's mentioned his name.
I mean, if you watched Michigan
the national champions, if you watched him, he's a beast. He is a large man. He is 6'9". He's about 240. Looks bigger than that. Plays big. Plays his size. And he's everything you would want in a guy coming into the league. He is mature. He is older. He is established. He's going to be 24 at the start of next season in the NBA. He's 23 right now. September 30th is his birthday. He's a guy that's bounced around a little bit, going from Arizona Western. I don't even know where the hell that is.
Well, do you know why?
Why did he do that?
Look, I think this is important because, in this era of everybody why are you a 24-year-old, essentially entering the draft? And the guy just couldn't make grades in high school.
Yeah.
And so, the nature of where the NBA is and how, I think most people have now realized that, going through the G League route you've got to be a really high level prospect to be able to do it. And even then, it's got some issues with it.
Sure.
He couldn't make grades in high school.
No.
Joe, he played basically 10 games in high school, give or take. So no one was going to take a chance on him because he couldn't make grades. He could barely make grades in high school. No one thought he could make grades in college. And so that's why he ended up at some of these random schools. But on the floor, he's an absolute stud.
He's been a beast. And he's improved on the floor. And I'm glad you brought that up because that is something, fighting through adversity at a young age. It's not talked about a lot when it comes to the academic thing. That's a struggle for a player mentally and any person mentally to try to push through that. And there's a level of embarrassment, too, that you kind of have to move past. It's like, damn, the reason I can't be on the floor right now is because I can't get a C in this class. I can't get a C minus. I can't, and I'm not.
He's coming from another country.
Well, I'm not poking fun. Hold on. I'm not poking fun at him. This is a real thing. And it doesn't matter if he's coming from another country or he's in this country. People struggle with grades.
No question.
It comes easy for some and not the others. And sometimes there's a certain subject that you just can't do. I've never been a science guy. Hell, I'm talking about sports for a living at this point. I was never into science at all. Just didn't gravitate towards me, didn't care about it, whether it was biology, whether it was chemistry, whether it was, physical science. I don't even care. Just never cared for it at all. And I struggled because I didn't care about it. And this guy clearly is gifted at the sport of basketball. Maybe he just never cared about the grades. That's another thing too. And I think that's where we struggle as a society and as a country too, is try to get these kids to care about things and trying to create different learning patterns for these kids and have a reward system in place. I'm learning at it right now. Benny's 6. He's going to be going into first grade. And there's certain subjects that he struggles in right now, and we're trying to work with him. It's nothing serious, and he's shown really, really big improvements from where he started in kindergarten towards the end. But we're trying to hammer out some of them, heading into first grade and through this summer. But having a reward system in place, this is a bigger conversation than what I'm getting at with Yaxel, but neither here nor there. The fact that he was able to persevere and be talked about as a lottery pick now through that, Joe, I think that speaks highly to his character.
Yeah.
And I love high character guys. And so do the Golden State Warriors, do they not?
Yeah, well, yeah. And they love Big Ten Players of the Year.
Yes.
See Draymond Green.
Yes.
So, this guy is... I think he's everything that you would be looking for in a guy who could be a more modern version with a little more offense, actually a lot more offense, than what Draymond Green brings to the table right now. I think this would be the ideal pick if we're looking at – there are other guys that maybe – and I always put in air quotes, higher ceilings, or you'd have to develop. I think this guy has an opportunity to be the best player coming out of the entire class in terms of like year one. Because some of these other guys are going to take some time. Like you look at the kid, Ament, and he's so thin and so frail. They've got to add weight. This guy's already thick and has a grown man's body and has played high-level basketball on a winning team with a brand of ball that really fits the Warriors. Put a couple balls on the floor, pass, move to the other guy, get a rebound, put it back up, play within the fabric of an offense, guard some of the grittier guys, both at the block and out on the perimeter. I think he'd be a great pick for the Warriors here. And he can knock down shots, too.
He can. His contested shot percentage from beyond the arc versus his uncontested, not very great. You're going to have to make a lot of contested threes. This is the NBA. But when he is wide open, he hits them at almost a 40% clip. Now, contested three-pointers, it's in like the teens. Not very great. But again, he's improved his three-point shot if you just look at his last 3 seasons. And he's taken more threes every single season. 33%, 35%, 37%. And the three-point attempts, 0.3, 0.7, jumping up all the way to 1.7 to 4.5. Like, the guy's shooting it more because he realizes in the NBA you need a three-point shot. You just do, especially on the Golden State Warriors, a team synonymous with three-point shooting. That being said, his ability to drive to the hoop and just finish is so refreshing to see at his size, because I swear to God, this Golden State Warriors team, it's going to drive me nuts the amount of times that they just haven't had someone able to finish at the rim. And I know we're always going to get the Kuminga. He's not here anymore. I'm looking for the future and for the now. This guy, Yaxel Lendeborg, as we're talking about a week away from the NBA draft, if he's there at 11, you got to take him. You just got to take him.
Well, when you're watching Yaxel on a lot of the highlights with Michigan, it's hard to not see Mara, who's the center that he played alongside
Big boy.
7'3", and both guys have been really linked to the Warriors at 11. There's a bunch of them, and we'll go through some of them, but seeing the way the two of them play off each other, and Yaxel really understands leverage at the block. I've seen him a bunch of times get passes, entry passes from the big man, and he's like sealing his guy off, catching, pump faking, going up, finishing in traffic with both hands. He's not the fastest guy, but he gets to his spots. I've seen some comps because comps are all over the place.
Sure.
I mean, they are all over the place. I've seen poor man's Paolo Banchero in terms of size, and I've seen some Franz, but Franz is an easy one because Franz played at Michigan, so I can see why a lot of people make that like that connection.
His brother played at Michigan, Mo Wagner, right? And so did Franz. Yeah, you're right.
So I understand, and just that program pumps out a lot of really good players. He's a little different from me. I think he's rugged. He's really rugged. I think he understands how to use his body to like crash into guys, but not in a reckless way, and then like still be able to finish. He's definitely, to me, he's plug and play.
Well, and also,
I think he could be a starter right now in the Warriors.
I agree. Remember my dream scenario? He just gets that three-point shot to be amazing, and then we're good. He could be a plug-and-play starter. He could also be a small ball 5 if you need him to be. He's big. I
prefer that not.
In the NBA, Joe,
I prefer that
probably not. But again, if we're just like looking at his traits and what he could translate into, a wing, whatever. He's listed as a forward, obviously. 6'9", 240. He's a big player, but he can also distribute the ball. Like, his assist-to-turnover ratio has improved every single year. It was 1-to-1 2 years ago. This past year, it's just 3-to-1. Well, that's incredible.
I'm thinking about, like, how could you use a young man early in the year? And, well, obviously, transition. That's number one, fresh young legs. But number two, like, they love to do that Draymond, Steph, high pick and roll, and then Dre's kind of your trigger man. You could see that he could do elements of that. Yeah, Draymond's the highest level, but... Like, I see a lot of kind of like drive, kick, dish out to the open man, relocate, get a rebound, put it up in traffic. He's got a lot of, I think, things that the Warriors could really use right now. I mean, he's really he's like the anti-Kuminga. He's not the most crazy athlete guy, who's going to wow you with some of the verts and stuff like that. He's like kind of the opposite of that.
He has a 7'4" wingspan, 7'4" wingspan with his arms. Like, he's a big dude. And he's gotten some comps as we're kind of talking about it right now. Not the same player, obviously, and he's a little bit bigger, but Draymond Green. The people have brought him up as a similarity. And Yaxel was actually asked about it because he had a workout with the Golden State Warriors the other week, Joe. We got some sound from him talking to reporters in the media. He was asked, hey, Yaxel, do you see any similarities with your game and Draymond Green?
Yeah, I do see some similarities. He's a win guy, win all guy, you can say. And he's a connector for a squad. You know, he makes the right read majority of the time. He plays super hard on defense, willing to take on the best player on the other squad. So I definitely feel like I have a lot of similarities just as far as that. Like if I play alongside him, again, just a lot of learning. You know, he's won many rings. You know, he's been in many tough situations where he has to step up his game, and it'll be a very, very good vet to have by your side.
Now, the pushback on a guy like Yaxel, as we're talking about right now, we're both excited about him. We would love the pick, but a lot of Warriors fans want someone that's really good shooter. They like a high efficiency guy, 3-point shooter. That's not his game. Now, he's improved, and he averaged between 1.7, 4.5 3-pointers a game. I'm looking at his stats from this past year with Michigan, which he was not a 3-point shooter at all in his previous stint with Alabama Birmingham. 37% though, like he's not some Scrabini from beyond the arc, and he has improved and shown improvement at the collegiate level. How does that translate to the pros? I don't know.
But they need defense too. Like that,
yeah.
I think one thing is pretty obvious to me. They need defense, and they need bodies that can play every day, and they need grown man bodies. They don't need kids.
So you're not as concerned about the 3-point percentage heading into the not at all?
No.
What if Warriors fans are?
I mean, like everyone, you need to be able to shoot the ball. Yes. There's no doubt. This is a guy that can put the ball on the floor though a little, and I do like his little midi game. Like he is willing to hit you with the floater and some of the off foot finishes. Like I'm not as worried about the three. This team, I think we're getting way too, like you're at 11, all right?
Yeah.
You're not getting a perfect player.
No.
What you're looking for here is who is someone that can come in and be a top 6 or 7 player right away, 8 player right away, like in that 8-man rotation. This is it. He's a good fit. What's the learning curve going to be like? Probably not as high as some of these other guys. Like, for example, Ahmed, the kid from Tennessee. He's really frail. He takes a lot of bad shots. Yeah. You watch his film, he takes a lot of bad shots. So he's got to fill out physically. He's got a lot of maturing to do off the floor. And then you're worried about his IQ in terms of shot selection. Like, that's a lot of things that, to me, doesn't jive with Curry Kerr. Right?
Yeah.
What jives with Curry Kerr? Older, physically mature, emotionally mature, understands how to win, being able to pass. Can you play defense? Are you going to get cooked on? Like, is this a guy who's going to get 3 quick fouls in the first quarter by being dumb? Probably not, Yaxel, right? But a lot of these other 18-year-old younger players, like, not everyone is ready to just play. I think this is a guy that in year one could be an all-rookie, in terms of, like, top 5 players in the rookie class from day one.
This is Yaxel, again, speaking to the Golden State Warriors in a workout the other week on who he models his game after, Joe.
I have 3 to 4 people. One is Paolo. I've always tried to, mimic his game. Nas Reed as well. In a way, I try to mimic some of LeBron's drives, how physically he is and how he uses his body, when to use it, stuff like that. And somebody I still watch to this day, like just highlights, is Magic Johnson. But, yeah, those guys I learn every, a lot of different things, like little pieces from each player.
So Nas Reed, Paolo, and Magic in one. I'm kidding. But I actually like the Nas Reed comp because Warriors fans have been infatuated with Nas Reed forever and have wanted him in a Golden State Warriors uniform, who's obviously doing some good things over in the Minnesota Timberwolves.
They need another rugged guy.
Yeah.
And this is a rugged guy that I think can help them on a variety of levels. Again, I like him way more than other guys around that level. I don't love the center from Michigan. Like, watching him more, he's a really good passer. To me, he's like a mid to late round first round pick. Am I wrong on this?
ESPN on their little mock draft has him,
He needs to work on his body. He was at UCLA before. He needs to work on his upper body. I don't love his finishing around the hoop. You know what he actually is? In terms of passing beyond the arc, he actually does have a lot of KP Bogut in terms of passing. But, I have questions on athleticism, on toughness, feet. To me, he's more like project center than like plug and play center. Why are you ready?
Well, I think one thing you guys haven't mentioned about Yaxel that is one of his best attributes too is he's a really good decision maker, and he makes his decisions.
High pick and roll.
And his assist to turnover ratio has been improved dramatically.
He'll swing the ball quickly.
Very quickly.
He'll make his decision to go to the rack quickly, and that works really well in the motion offense for Steve Kerr.
And I also think what I noticed is he identifies mismatches, whether he's got it and then try to like block that guy down on the low block or throw it to the guy who does. Dude, I like him. Am I hyping him up? Yes, like there's a lot of projection. It's going to be up and down. It's any rookie, but of all the options at 11, he is one of my most tantalizing of the realistic options.
Bonte joining us for the entire 9 o'clock hour in about 26 minutes, presented by Ceremony Ford, your Bay Area Ford store. All right, biggest question.
Did you guys did you watch him in the tournament, Joe?
Yeah, wasn't he hurt though? Or
he missed some time.
So he missed a lot of time. But yeah, I did. Yeah,
I think he's a high level player.
I do too.
A winner. I really like it.
And I'm with Steiny on this because I know Steiny and Goo have been talking about this kid for a while. I do like that he's older too. Like that, a lot of people say that's a detriment to him. This isn't Brandon Whedon from Oklahoma State, people. This isn't some like old 28-year-old quarterback coming into the league. By the way, I do want to get into something with the quarterbacks. Brendan Sorsby, that whole thing is wild to me.
Here's the thing.
We're getting into that at some point.
But like Ricky Pearsall is an older wide receiver.
Yeah.
Couple years later, I still don't know if he's good.
Yeah.
So like the number one thing, and they drafted a young guy, Michael Williams, who's 20 years old at the time. I don't know if he's any good a year later, right? Like, so we could talk about age, and it is a factor. I'm not denying it. It is a factor. If you're not good, it doesn't matter.
Correct.
Like it literally does not matter how young you are, how old you are. You know who I kept hearing that about?
Who?
Kuminga.
Yeah.
Forever. And I'm not trying to knock Kuminga. I'm just saying like, oh, he's only this age.
You know who else was 23 when they were coming out and he was undrafted? And I know you love this player, was Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves was 23 when he came out. And look he had an opportunity and he seized it immediately. Like, so it's not the end all be all just because you're 18, 19 versus 23. Now, does that play into projections? Absolutely. Is Yaxel going to be the face of the franchise post Steph Curry? I mean, that's a lot of expectations for a number. We're not even looking for that. But that's what people get to. Exactly. That's what we're looking for. Hey, that's the biggest question, right? Hey, everyone wants to know, how are you going to fit with Stephen Curry? And what's that going to be like, Yaxel?
Man, it'll be amazing. You know, he provides so much gravity on the court that it really makes it super easy for other guys to score, other guys to just, showcase any ability that they have. So, I've been having so many arguments going against Steph when I was young with my best friend. And now, like, if I would be able to play with him, it'll be kind of funny being on the other end. But I'll be very excited to get the opportunity. He's a great player, great human being as well. I got to meet him about like twice. So it's really nice. And I feel like I will learn a lot playing with him as well.
Hey, Yaxel, what do you mean? You have arguments against him? Steph wasn't your boy? He must have been a LeBron guy. That's okay. He's more built like LeBron. But he said he had 2 conversations with him. Did you hear that? That's interesting towards the end. All right. And you know what? You know how I already know he's bought in? He used the one word everyone loves when you're talking about Steph. Gravity. He used the word, Carter. He gets it.
If I had to move up 2 slots to get him, I'd do it.
Oh, that might not cost you that.
I know I really would.
That wouldn't cost you that much, probably.
Well, I don't know what it would cost
me. Maybe
a second
rounder.
If I had to, I would do it.
I'm looking at the projections right now, or not the projections, but a mock draft. ESPN put one out yesterday. They have number 12, which is the Oklahoma City Thunder, taking Yaxel Lendeborg.
And is this the one they have us taking Mara?
Correct. Ade Mara, center.
I'm so iffy on him. Just like at that spot, no. I don't want him at that spot.
You would want to trade back maybe?
Well, if you trade back into the first round, let's say you're at 23, 24, 25. Like, okay, all right, that's fine. Okay. But like, I'm not taking him there.
And they got the other guy that I've heard a lot linked maybe to the Warriors, Kareem Lopez. Kareem Lopez, who would be the first Mexican-born player to get drafted in the first round.
Another very high IQ player.
Yes.
Who I really like. I think he's very intriguing. I mean, if you want to go down the rabbit hole on him, I like him a lot. I think both those guys scream Dunleavy Kerr.
Here's more from Yaxel in his sit-down after his workout with the Golden State Warriors on how he'd fit on offense with Steph.
I think it fits perfectly. They do a lot of them like off-ball moving sets, a lot of actions to get Steph open, and playing off his gravity will make it a lot easier for me to make reads and for the other guys to get open as well. So I think it'll be perfect.
Oh, excuse me, Yaxel. Again, Carter brought this up. I brought it up earlier. Like when you watch just the highlights of this kid, the decision making and the aggressiveness just going to the rim and not being hesitant at all. That's something I like when I was watching all the highlights. And again, these are highlights. This is the lowlights of him. But the decision making and not being hesitant at all is something that I felt I saw through Kuminga at times. And again, this is not all on him, but this is the benefit of getting a guy that's going to be 23, 24 years old immediately. He doesn't have the same level of nerves and hesitancy as a guy jumping from the G League who's super raw. That's not the word you use for a Yaxel. Not raw at all. Actually, it's polished. And now, can he be more polished in certain areas? Absolutely. The 3-point shot, the shooting percentage over there, the contested percentages, absolutely. But that's something you have to improve on in the NBA. He used Naz Reid as a comparison. I love that. You know why? Because Naz Reid has turned into a pretty serviceable 3-point shooter. Did not start out that way. Started as a 33% guy. Then he jumped up to a 35%, struggled a little bit more. Hell, in 2023, he was a 40% 3-point shooting guy. You can improve. We've seen it ad nauseum. Big men and 6'9" and above guys improve their 3-point shot as seasons go on.
But college is a, like when I look at half-court sets in college, it's just the whole floor is way more congested than the NBA. Yeah. The NBA just provides way more spacing. Guys are just
especially
such
Steph.
Dynamic playmakers and the shooting and everything. So what I'm looking for, and I'm glad you brought up the decisions, it is the decision making.
Yeah.
And the short area quickness and being able to finish in traffic. The things that you'll never be able to figure out from college is will strength and toughness around the rim truly translate? Because some guys can finish in college against 19-year-olds, go up against 29-year-olds and 31-year-olds, and that's different.
And it is a very difficult, team to get drafted to, as we've seen with Moses Moody, as we've seen with Brandon Pajemski, as we've seen with a lot of these Warriors rookies. It's not seamless, right? Will Richard, I was actually shocked they played as Will Richard as much as they did last year, because I think a lot of us felt they like to treat Warriors kind of like Kyle Shanahan treats wide receivers. You're gonna take a year, man. You're gonna sit on the bench. You're gonna look. You're gonna be a sponge. But what did we see with Will Richard? Where did he come from, Joe? How long did he play in college for? Florida national champion, right?
Yeah.
So I think if you draft Yaxel, you're probably going to see him early on. And maybe that was a glimpse of what we'll see going forward now that Steve Kerr's sticking around here a little bit longer, 2 years. And with Mike Dunleavy, maybe that we see a pattern now of going after guys that have won championships, guys that have played in big games, guys that are playing in big conferences, right? And playing in meaningful basketball as opposed to the raw prospects.